Hey y'all, gravity. Anything above ground, live it. Hold on one second. Yeah, so we about to stream this debate, folks. So just for context, that's the state of Georgia and all the counties. But yeah, folk, we just waiting here. We just waiting. They just started launching their page. Yeah, we just waiting here. So come on in, make sure you share it, like it, subscribe if you haven't, and yeah, we gonna strap it because I know this is about to go off the rails. Maybe not like Warnock and Walker, but it's gonna be bad. Hold on one second. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm about to go start streaming this debate, so I'm gonna head out. But thank you for letting me talk. And like I said, y'all gotta be judicious with your vote.
Yes, indeed. And y'all go follow our brother Kid Gravity on YouTube. Kid Gravity Beyond on YouTube. While you can, go follow myself, and Black Alpha Network, and of course Poppy.
Logan, hello. $25. Stacey doesn't mention black men or reparations. It depends on what questions they have. It depends on what questions they have. But what we got them lined up. We got them lined up, ready to go, folks. We got them lined up, ready to go. When Stacey says something stupid, you know where we going. And if she does say something even stupider than that,
this is a sick Negro.
So for those that are coming in, if you see breaking on the screen, I'm just waiting for 11 Alive to get their debate stream started. But if that doesn't work, we're gonna switch over to Fox 5, and I'll just have WSB2 loaded up, ready to go. Not sure if Fox 5, like I'm on their YouTube right now, I don't see it. I don't see a live stream, so they might not be doing it. I think they don't kind of want to monopolize it. So I think 11 Alive is the only one doing it. How's the family been doing today? You can put that in the comments or the chat box if you're watching it live. And yeah, that's Black Alpha and Beatzilla Space in the background you're hearing. Yeah, I think 11 Alive got the exclusive coverage. I think they got the exclusive coverage. So we're still waiting. We're still waiting. They're almost there. One more minute, and I think they'll start. Yeah, because I'm not gonna be like the other debate. I ain't gonna sit up there and wait and come in like 20 minutes in. Now we need all this. This is y'all gotta understand this is the race and this is the seat that's gonna determine how the country moves. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Let's get it started. Oh, y'all funny. Y'all not ready? Come on, y'all ready. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's get to the show. Come on, it's 7 o'clock. This must. Hey, anybody down in Atlanta that's been here longer than me? It's like 11 Alive, like the colored people channel. That's why they starting late. It's 7 o'clock. Miss Major, hello. Tangibles, yes. Samuel Logan says we about to hear a whole lot of nothing. Well, we might have something for that. We might have something for that. I might, you know what? I think I have a lot of these clips over in the yellow version, right? Yeah, we might have to go. We might have to go yellow for this because when they say a whole lot of nothing, we're gonna bring it out.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, we gotta bust him out. Hey, come on, it's 7:01. Let's go. Let's get to the show. Come on. Why y'all waiting so long? Let me see. My live was off. Yo, come on, let's get to the show. Why y'all taking so long? Let me guess. Stacey ain't ready yet. Her makeup ain't right. Come on now. Fail. Come on. Yo, who down in Georgia? Is 11 Alive like the Negro channel? Is that what it is? Y'all let me know.
Public opinion polls in our state show support for the right to abortion, Medicaid expansion, and banning
Oh, shit. Wait.
assault weapons. You are on the side of public opinion in each of these issues. Yet, you're behind in almost every poll. Wow.
Candidates have
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to address the community of Georgia.
Abrams.
The reason people are on my side are because I'm
polls
on
in
the
our
right
state
side of history and on the
show
right side of the
support
issues.
for the right to
But we also
abortion.
know
Hey, what the hell? Hey, that ain't me, folk. That was not me. That was them. I don't know what they were doing. Who is running this? Hang on.
often left out of the conversation. Students who have found themselves
Oh Lord. Anthony Ali, this ain't me. This is them. This is their channel. This is 11 Alive. This ain't me. Oh Lord. Who is messing this up? Folk, this ain't me. Oh,
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
this ain't me, folk. I promise you this ain't me. Who? I don't know who's doing it. They messing up hard body. I see why they shut the chat off, because people would be going off right now. Nah, we ain't finna do this. Come on now. Wait a minute. Y'all not doing this to me. Not today, not no day. Come on now. Who got it? All right, let me see. Maybe PBS. I hate PBS. What is this? So wait. So they're all messing up? Yeah, whatever. All right. I think they're all messing up. Oh Lord. Yeah, because I went to PBS's site and their live stream is messing up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This ain't me, folk. I promise you this ain't me.
Things that
Here
our
we go.
Georgia families are
go,
facing
baby.
right now, quite honestly, because of bad policies in Washington, D.C.
Now,
from President
watch.
Biden and the
All
Democrats
liberals
that
gonna
have
be
complete
like,
control.
They want Stacey
And
to
thankfully,
talk.
working with the Georgia General Assembly, we've been able to work to help give some relief to people despite what's happening in Washington, like giving a income tax credit back to our citizens, cutting taxes, also suspending the gas tax since March now, $800 million of relief for our hardworking citizens. So that is what my focus has been on, and it's what it will continue to be on.
Thank you very much, Jennifer Bellamy. Your question for Shane Hazel.
Mr. Hazel, Georgia seems to be struggling right now in dealing with how to
Jennifer, you might
legally
be a
take
fool,
on the
but-
issue of cannabis in the state.
Ladies, how y'all
What do
feel
you
about
think
her
needs
wig?
to be done here? How should Georgia address the issues surrounding?
Ladies, how you feel about her wig?
For a libertarian, we believe that cannabis is a plant that grows from earth naturally. And the hubris that the federal government has shown in making a Schedule I drug while also holding patents on it is one of those things where we find it somewhat laughable. And it is. It is a right of people. It is medicine. It is something that we can add to our industry here in Georgia and really displace a lot of what comes in from outside of Georgia. This is a huge win for Georgia. We have a great agricultural sector. We can grow 2 bumper crops of cannabis every year. The idea that it is still illegal and that Brian Kemp has talked about this and tweeted about it as it is a good thing when we make cannabis bust and cannabis bust only is a real sign that the government in Georgia is using it for the prison industrial complex, for the law enforcement complex to go after communities that would like to see freedom in this area. So it's a right. That's how we see it as libertarians.
Right. Thank you very much. You have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I would just like to make sure people at home know that I have been doing exactly what I told them I would do when I was campaigning for governor. And now that I am your governor, we have been going after street gangs and drug cartels. So the things that we're tweeting out there is when our great men and women in law enforcement are making drug busts, not from recreational users
it's a plant.
and other things.
Yeah,
But that's what my focus is on.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Greg, please ask a question of Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, Ms. Abrams, in 2018, you didn't concede defeat to Governor Kemp, and you talked to systemic problems with the state's election system. This election, do you commit to accept the outcome of the vote, regardless of what it shows? And do you stand by your use of words like rigged 4 years ago to describe the state's election system?
In 2018, I began my speech on November 16th acknowledging that Governor Kemp had won the election.
That's a lie.
I then proceeded to lay out in grave detail the challenges faced by voters under his leadership as Secretary of State, including the 10+2 who were arrested in Quitman, Georgia, because they had the temerity to use absentee ballots. I told the story of students who were denied access to the right to vote, even though they had duly registered. 80,000 complaints had come in by that day, and it took 4 years of federal investigation in a lawsuit that was the longest-running voting rights lawsuit in the state's recent history that proved us right. Now, we didn't win every single claim, but we forced massive changes to the election laws. And unfortunately, Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger have decided to restore their greatest hits. Just today, a homeless woman was denied the right to vote in Forsyth County because she did not receive a provisional ballot because she had been challenged. As governor, I intend to stand up for the right to vote. I will always acknowledge the outcome of elections, but I will never deny access to every voter because that is the responsibility of every American to defend the right to vote.
Thank you. Brian Kemp, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Well, I would just say that Ms. Abrams is going to do a lot of attacking of my record tonight because she doesn't want to talk about her own record. In 2018, in the governor's race, we had the largest African-American turnout in the country. She said that Senate Bill 202, our recent Elections Integrity Act, what we passed 2 years ago, would be suppressive in Jim Crow 2.0. Just this past May in our primaries, we again had record turnout in the Republican primary and the Democratic primary. In Georgia, it's easy to vote and hard to cheat.
And I'd like to add just a second here, as the libertarian,
30 seconds for you.
Although you will push for people to have access to going to the polls and voting, you're not pushing ballot access. This is a huge oppression for people like the third parties, the people that want to get their people on the ballot. We have, I think, 20% Democrats, 20% Republicans in the state of Georgia. That leaves 60% of people in Georgia unrepresented by ballot access laws that both of them support.
30 seconds, Ms. Abrams.
Actually, to correct Mr. Hazel, I co-sponsored legislation to expand ballot access because I agree with you that third parties should have better access to the right to vote in the state of Georgia. I co-sponsored it with one of our independents in the state legislature. But let's be clear about ballot access and voter access. Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State, and he has assiduously denied access to the right to vote. We know that the right to vote is the only way that we can make the changes we need in the state, the only way we can make the changes we need in this country, whether it's access to the right to an abortion, the ability to take care of our families. We need a governor who believes in access to the right to vote and not in voter suppression, which is the hallmark of Brian Kemp's leadership.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on.
With all due respect, I was called out. I would like to just the record reflect, as my time as Secretary of State, I'm the person that created the online voter registration system in this state, where any Georgian can vote, register to vote 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So for someone to say that we have been suppressive in our state when we've seen turnout increase over the years, including with minorities like African Americans, Latinos, and others, is simply not true. And again, Ms. Abrams is going to lie about my record because she doesn't want to talk about her own.
All right, we're going to move on here.
And that's the case.
We're going to move on here, Mr. Hazel. Jennifer, your question for Brian Kemp.
Governor Kemp, several hospitals and medical centers across the state have announced or gone through with plans to close their doors, leaving a gap in care and a reduction in services at a time when our healthcare workers are already suffering from burnout, from increased demand and workloads. Many are now facing care that will be delayed or unavailable, while our state's capital will soon have only one level 1 trauma center. What will you do to ensure Georgians have access to critical healthcare services and hospitals?
Well, I would just remind voters at home there's also hospitals being built across this state and new options for people for health care. Look, the AMC situation was something that was thrown on a lot of political leaders, including me. But instead of complaining about it and doing the blame game, I went and worked with Fulton County, with DeKalb County, with Democrats to come up with a solution that put state resources into Grady to help make sure people have the access and the care that they need in our state. And I'm committed to continuing to do that in the future.
All right. Shane, I'm sorry. Chuck, you get the final question to Shane Hazel.
Thank you. Mr. Hazel, you ran for Congress in 2018. That was just 4 years ago. You ran as a Republican. You got less than 30% of the vote in the Republican primary. What happened between then and now that made you a libertarian?
Oh, I actually came back to my roots as a libertarian. We believe in freedom. We saw what the Republican Party was. We saw what the Democratic Party was. They are force and coercion. No matter what they talk about, it's force and coercion. Whether it's certificate of need for hospitals, whether it is taking guns away from law-abiding citizens. It is always force and coercion at the point of a gun from the Democrats and Republicans.
Right?
To look at life through consent, the eyes that, hey, we can all have transactions. We do it every day in the private sector. 99.9% of us go throughout our day without raping people, without murdering people, without pointing guns at people to take their property. That is not what the government does under Republicans and Democrats, period. That's how I became a libertarian. This is why we're going to send this thing into a runoff. And if people were really looking for something to change, you'd vote libertarian. You'd send a message to both of these parties, because one of these people will most likely be the executive in a rigged system, that you want to be more free.
Thank you. That concludes the first round of the debate. The candidates will now ask a question to each of their opponents. Lord. Candidates will have 30 seconds to ask the question, 60 seconds to respond, and the candidate who asks the questions will have 30 seconds for rebuttal. By random selection, Brian Kemp, you may ask the first question to Stacey Abrams.
What the hell?
Well, thank you very much. As many people know, I have over 100 sheriffs endorsing my campaign, several of which are Democrats. And my question for Ms. Abrams tonight is how many sheriffs statewide have publicly endorsed your campaign?
Mr. Kemp, what you are attempting to do is continue the lie that you've told so many times. I think you believe it's the truth. I support law enforcement and did so for 11 years, worked closely with the Sheriff's Association. I'm probably the only person standing here who's ever actually written a SOP for a police department when I was working for the city of Atlanta. But I have two brothers, one who has committed crimes, and I want his victims to be able to call the police and get the help they need, and I've always supported that right. But I have another brother who has faced being pulled over for driving while black when he was coming back from his job as a social worker. Unlike you, I don't have the luxury of relying on slogans to describe my position on public safety. I believe that we need safety and justice, because I love both of my brothers. And like most Georgians, I lead a complicated life where we need access to help, but we also need to know that we are safe from racial violence. While you may not have had that experience, too many people I know have, and that is why I will always stand up for making certain that safety and justice are the conversations we're having in Georgia and the delivery we have as the next governor of Georgia.
Thank you. 30 seconds, Mr. Kemp.
Well, I would just tell people that, look, I support safety and justice. But Ms. Abrams refused to answer the question, so I'll let you know that the answer is 0. No sheriffs are endorsing her statewide because of her stances on wanting to defund the police, eliminate cash bail, and serving on the boards of organizations like the Margaret Casey Foundation that supports and gives grants to organizations that are promoting the defund the police movement.
If I may respond, because he actually lied there.
Yes,
I do have the support of sheriffs, but unlike Mr. Kemp, I do not make it my plan to list every person who supports me. I have the support of sheriffs. I have the support of advocates. I have the support of victims. I have the support of those who want to be treated fairly in our system. I have to have conversations with the entirety of Georgia. I don't have the luxury of being a part of a good old boys club where we don't focus on the needs of our people. And that is why my mission has been to put out very concrete plans explaining how I will serve justice, how I will serve safety, and how I will serve the citizens of the state of Georgia.
30 seconds.
Well, look, I would just tell people, I know Miss Abrams is upset and mad because these are things that she said. This is not me making this up. This is things that she said in interviews that she's done, and she's sitting on organizations that you can go look at the facts yourself. And that's why the men and women in law enforcement want a governor that is going to stand with them, who has been with them, not only to have their back, but also stand shoulder to shoulder on things like civil unrest and going after street gangs and human traffickers.
Thank you very much. Stacey Abrams, you get the next question for Shane Hazel.
Mr. Hazel, Republicans and Democrats have raised the alarm over the rise in the Chinese Communist Party-backed companies purchasing American farmland. To date, they've purchased more than 1 million acres of farmland in the state of Georgia. Would you agree with Mike Pompeo that allowing those purchases in the state of Georgia is a sign of madness? And would you be concerned about the national security implications of the Chinese Communist Party purchasing this land with the support of the state of Georgia?
Anthony, why Stacey Abrams look like DNA?
I see the setup for this question. I understand why it was projected at me. As libertarians, we believe that you own your property and that the state can't take it away from you and can't sell it or can't determine who you sell it to. The CCP, obviously, which is going through its own internal unrest right now, I believe is probably purchasing this with things like central bank digital dollars and yuan, which are also coming down to a critical nature where people are in uprising in China. What we need to look at is how these purchases are being made. Are we accepting fiat, CCP yuan in Georgia as a actual currency? It's about as good as the U.S. currency, the fiat currency that we're about to have hoisted on us in terms of a CBDC. I'm not going to tell you or anybody else as governor how or who to sell your property to. And I imagine that in the end, the free market will work itself out.
Thank you. Stacey Abrams, 30 seconds.
The state of Georgia is watching our farmland be purchased by the Chinese Communist Party. And while that is not normally a conversation that we have, it is something that we should be concerned about. Agriculture is our #1 industry, and Georgia has 13 military installations. The fact that the state of Georgia is working with the Chinese Communist Party, using one of their technologies that both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have warned is very much a national security threat, should be of great concern to every Georgian. This is not about being concerned simply about who's owning the land, but it's about how much access to our information they have because of this state.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, you may ask your question of Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. The military-industrial complex is a big problem. It is. And the fact that we have people trying to come here to, I don't know, get a backdoor into our military, I think one of the things we should be talking about as Georgians and as executives is the Defend the Guard Act, where our military has been used very, I don't know, haphazardly around the world to go and take resources from the Middle East or now in
Mr. Hazel, your question.
Where's the question,
this is my question to who?
To Stacey Abrams.
We're going on
we've already switched gears.
Yes.
My question to you, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I have hearing problems, guys. My question to you is, I mentioned CBDCs. As the executive of Georgia, when we come into a CBDC from the Federal Reserve, will you, as the executive, accept this CCCP-style currency?
I believe that the conversation about currency is a complicated one. And part of the challenge we have is how this currency is transmitted, the very real security threats with digital currency, the hacking and mining of that digital currency should concern all Georgians. as the governor of Georgia, I will work very closely with the Federal Reserve, but also with the innovators and the entrepreneurs who do see an opportunity. But before we take a step forward that could put us at risk, our responsibility is to understand the complexity of what is happening with these transactions. And as exciting as it is, we also know it's deeply problematic when we do not have the adequate safeguards in place. That's one of the reasons I've raised concerns about WeChat and about the purchase of farmland. But what we know overall is that we need a governor who's conversant in these issues, who understands that, for example, in the state of Georgia, we have access to $3.5 billion in American currency that could be delivered tomorrow to save our hospitals and to save our lives. But our current governor has refused to accept those dollars. My intention is to do what's best for the state of Georgia every single day.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, you get a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, working with the Federal Reserve, who's got us into the mess that we are in right now because of a centralized fiat currency, it will be absolutely worthless. They will be dangling carrots in front of the governor, in front of the executives, in front of the legislature to do exactly what their mandates are. If they are mandating that they take the property of people, then they will do it. If they want to invade your homes, your privacy, your businesses, they will do it because of CBDCs.
All right. Stacey Abrams, please ask your question to Brian Kemp.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Mr. Kemp, under your leadership, there is currently a 100-year gap between minority-owned businesses and majority-owned businesses. Although minorities comprise 48% of the population, they only generate 12.2% of the business revenue in the state. And under every analysis that we have seen, it will take 100 years to close that gap, given the current process that you have in place. You served 4 years in the Senate, 8 years as Secretary of State in charge of businesses. You served 4 years as governor. What are your concrete, specific, targeted plans to decrease and address the racial equity gap currently facing contracting and purchasing for minority-owned businesses?
Governor Kemp?
Well, I would remind Georgians that the first part of my plan was keeping our state open for business and allowing all business people and working Georgians to work. When Stacey Abrams was criticizing me for doing that, also pushing to get our kids back in the classroom. When again, Stacey Abrams was criticizing me for doing that. A lot of Georgians, including African Americans and other minorities, cannot go to work if their kids are not in the classroom. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the country for African Americans. We also were named we're in the top 10 of the states for black entrepreneurship in the state of Georgia. So our economy is incredible, and we will continue to work with all of those entrepreneurs in the days ahead and working class Georgians, because we are the ones that have been fighting for you when Miss Abrams was not. We were giving tax refunds. We were doing tax cuts. We were suspending the gas tax to help you deal with 40-year high inflation when she was criticizing us.
Stacey Abrams, 30-second rebuttal.
I would point out that Mr. Kemp did not address the needs of purchasing and contracts for black and brown-owned businesses, which is what he has refused to do for the last 16 years. We know that $10.9 billion has been delivered to the state of Georgia through 2 recent acts at the congressional level. And Brian Kemp does not have a plan for making certain that people of color have access to those contracts, access to purchasing. It was only in July of this year that he finally acknowledged that there might be a problem. He has said that we need to study it. I would tell him, just cheat off of my paper. I know the answer. We need a governor who actually believes in equity, racial equity, economic equity in the state of Georgia, and I will deliver.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, please ask your question to Brian Kemp.
Brian, in 2020, on April 2nd, you locked down Georgia, threatening peaceful people with force and coercion. You called people in Georgia non-essential, and it killed millions of jobs. You bent the knee to Big Pharma and pushed a vaccine that was untested on people, and it has killed people. They have lost their loved ones. You've allowed bureaucracy to invade our businesses. And then you had the audacity to brag about record tax revenue. You want to say sorry to anybody?
Oh, shit.
So is that a question? Or?
That is a question. Do you want to say sorry to anybody?
Well, look, I'll be glad to talk about my record, because obviously Mr. Hazel is gravely mistaken. If you look at the executive orders that I signed, we said every business in Georgia was essential. There was a few that we asked to help us stop the spread, flatten the curve, build PPE supplies and hospital bed capacities. Because unlike him, I was getting the calls from hospitals saying, hey, we are out of surgical gowns. We're out of masks. We need ventilators. And we were literally working 24/7 to supply those items while also keeping our economy open in this state. And as you know, I was the first state to open the small parts that we asked to close, and our recovery's been as good as any state in the country. We have had 2 record years of economic development because of our business environment, working with the General Assembly to make sure that we're putting Georgians first and Georgia businesses and Georgia workers first, and that's what I'm committed to continuing to do.
30 seconds, Mr. Hazel.
You should have put Georgia freedom first, period. You didn't have the power to lock down businesses, and you signed the executive order on April 2nd. It was clear as day. I sat there and watched you do it, and I was like, there is no coming back from this. The idea that I guess the default was to lock down Georgia instead of trusting Georgians with their freedom to adapt in a time of very changing circumstances, I think is a tyrant move, and I think the left and right are fascists and communist socialists, whereas we're talking about real liberty, trusting Georgians with those decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Hazel. Brian Kemp, you have the final question in this round for Shane Hazel.
Well, I would just ask Mr. Hazel if he supports the things that we have done because we were open and
I don't support it. Because here's the thing is, when we get to that point, when we talk about what you're doing.
Ask my
finish your question.
Please go ahead.
I would just say, do you support the tax cuts we've done, returning $1 billion of taxpayer money and suspending the gas tax for Georgians to help fight through 40-year high inflation and bad domestic energy policy?
Georgia, I hope you hear me when I say libertarians think taxation is theft. It's your money. It's your property. You should be able to determine what you do with it. I don't support the fact that you haven't ended qualified immunity. I don't support the fact that you haven't ended civil asset forfeiture. I don't support the fact that you haven't ended the drug war. You haven't ended nonviolent crime. You haven't ended cash bail. You haven't ended no-knock raids. You haven't implemented community review boards. And you haven't banned blacked-out cop cars that go after people for more money. It's ridiculous. De-escalation by the executive to leave peaceful people alone in the state of Georgia. That's my message to both of you, to everybody in the state who wears a badge. Stop going after peaceful people.
Mr. Kemp, 30-second rebuttal.
Well, that's simply not true. As Georgia had followed the laws and the Constitution of this state, and I ran on going after criminal street gangs because I knew there was an issue in our state when other people wouldn't even talk about it and the media wouldn't acknowledge it. And you look at the amount of fentanyl that's coming across the southern border because of bad border policies from this administration. Every governor in the country is having to deal with that. So, yes, I'm going to go after bad people that are selling bad drugs and killing our children and our other citizens.
The free market way to do that would be to allow cannabis and psilocybin to handle the mental health issues.
Okay, well, I wasn't talking about cannabis. I was talking about deadly fentanyl.
Stop busting them then.
Gentlemen, we're going to move on. That concludes our second round. For those just joining us, this is the general. Use that moderator privilege right away to ask some education questions. Mr. Kemp,
is it good now?
If reelected, you've said you'll push for $65 million dedicated to fighting pandemic learning loss, hiring more counselors, and recruiting teachers to fill shortages. How do you respond to those who say you should have prioritized those academic-related issues over laws dealing with divisive concepts, parental laws, and obscene books in the past legislative session? Even those who were pushed against laws in the end say they don't have much teeth.
Well, look, we have been pushing for those things. You can talk to school superintendents around the state. We have worked with them really over the last year and a half, 2 years on learning loss. We've been working with our superintendents and other education groups. We've passed 2 different pieces of legislation dealing with the teacher pipeline, which is getting more teachers into the system. Our plan is working with higher education, including our HBCUs and others, to make sure we're getting more of the right people and more of them in the classroom to help mentor our children. This is really just the next step in the process.
Let me see something. Let me try to reload it.
The state more than we ever have per pupil ever. And that's coming off a recession during the middle of a global pandemic. This includes my promised teacher pay raise of $5,000. that we completed in my first full term, despite having to deal with 2 years of a global pandemic and a recession. So I think it's incredible what we've been doing, but make no mistake, we have more work to do, and I'm committed to doing that.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, would you tell us your education plan?
Yeah, it's to put it in the hands of the private sector. The government education system that came from Prussia in the 1700s has obviously failed Americans. We don't understand economics. We don't understand our civil culture. We don't understand a whole lot about what goes on behind the scenes in politics. The idea that we want to privatize everything as libertarians is good for education. Think about Walmart having a monopoly on force to teach your children. It's insane. The idea that we do this with a government has side effects. We see them on a daily basis. We need to get government out of education. We need to allow parents to seek out the best education for their kids. And we also believe that they have the responsibility to do so. So to help fix this nation, start here in Georgia, is get the government and the admin out of the classroom and get it out of our lives.
Thank you. Ms. Abrams, in education, you propose a boost in teachers' pay, more state-paid preschool slots for lower-income children and their families, and more. If you win the governor's race, you'll likely have Republican majorities in both chambers. Given what we know about partisan divisions, how will you get your education proposals passed and funded?
So let's begin with what my proposals are. Georgia is sitting on a $6.6 billion surplus. That's money that we have after we've paid every bill, after we've put 15% aside for, say, a rainy day fund. That is money that after we've accounted for increases in population. And I want to invest it in our children and in our families, beginning with making certain that we have pre-K slots. We have 4-year-olds on a waiting list. I've never met a 4-year-old who waits to turn 5. But we can solve that problem with the money we have right now. We can also give an $11,000 pay raise to our teachers instead of a $5,000 pay raise on layaway. We can make certain that we are increasing access to the pipeline because teachers aren't in the pipeline because they can't make enough money to take care of themselves and their families. And that is why under this governor, we have a 67% retention rate. Any other CEO who lost more than 30% of their workforce would be fired. And that is why my plan is to use the resources we have today to plan for today and tomorrow. We've got the money, and we have economists in Georgia and national economists who have looked at my plan, and they say it works. Check my plan out at StaceyAbrams.com. Check my math. It works.
Thank you. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'd just like to let people know that, look, my plan is to use the revenue that we have because we've been open. If Stacey Abrams had been your governor over the last 4 years, you wouldn't have that excess revenue because she wanted the state to stay locked down and criticize me when I opened it back up. We have, in fact, been using this revenue and will do so in the future to do another income tax refund and put the money back in your pocket. We're also going to do a property tax relief grant one time that helps you with rising property values and rising property taxes that the counties are not rolling back.
Thank you very much.
If I may respond, because
30 seconds.
This is going to go back and forth between the Democrats and the Republicans. If they keep attacking each other, I'm going to say
we've got to move on. Ms. Abrams, 30 seconds.
For
Mr. Hazel, we've got to move on.
We're not going to be excluded from this.
I'm not excluding you, but he did refer to her, so we are going to have her speak first.
You're going to take money and property from people that don't even attend your schools because they don't agree with them.
We want to move on. Ms. Abrams?
I want to point out 3 things that were inaccurate. One, I urged caution because any leader should privilege the lives of those they serve. 38,000 people died in Georgia. We have one county where 1 in every 100 Hancock County residents perished under this governor. And so, yes, I urged caution. But I also urged good math. We have the money in our accounts to do what is right. Money not delivered by Brian Kemp, money delivered by federal Democrats, and money that is delivered by hardworking Georgians who have generated the surplus, and they deserve investments in their lives. And the income taxes that we keep hearing about, 50,000 people are getting $500 million. The rest of us are going to see $193. That is not a good return on investment.
Shane Hazel, 30 seconds, please.
It's stolen money. All of it's stolen money from people who have property. The fact that we have property tax in America has got to be one of the most un-American things I've ever heard of. There are a lot of us at homeschool because we don't believe in the government school system, and we are still fleeced every year to the tune of thousands and thousands of dollars to pay for a broken school system that we don't agree with. That's both of you guys.
Well, Don, with all due respect, Ms. Abrams called me out again.
All right.
About these
30 seconds, and then we really are going to move on.
But the federal money that we're able to use right now and spend is because our state was open, and we didn't have to use this federal money to backfill state revenues, which has put us in an incredible position to move forward in our state.
Mr. Kemp, we're one of several states that have had the same exact experience. It is disingenuous to claim
not having
done
a
this on your
conversation.
own.
We're going to move on.
The people's money.
We're going to move on, gentlemen, and Ms. Abrams. Greg Bluestein, you have the next question.
Ms. Abrams, I want to go back to one of Donna's underlying questions, which is the how issue.
Absolutely.
You've staked out dozens of policy proposals that would have to win approval from lawmakers, including Medicaid expansion, including several of the proposals you outlined here today. But it's highly likely the legislature will remain in Republican control. How are you going to win approval of these measures when in the face of staunch Republican opposition?
Well, I don't actually believe there is staunch Republican opposition. I served in the legislature for 11 years, and every day during my tenure, I worked across the aisle to get good done. They put it in my title. I was minority leader, meaning I couldn't win unless I could work with others. That is why I'm the only person I know of who got an A rating from the Georgia Chamber of Commerce and the Friend of Labor Award for the same work in the same year. The work that I do is working with people to find out how we get solutions. Medicaid expansion is a perfect example. We have 19 hospitals at risk of closure, joining the 6 hospitals that have closed under this governor. We are sending a Brinks truck of $3.5 billion of our money to Kentucky, to Louisiana, to Ohio, because this governor will not accept the money. And the resources that we need in our state will come to our state when we have leaders willing to work across the aisle to bring our money home. But it's more important than that. It's about how do we take care of our families? How do we make certain that we're addressing high housing prices? How do we tackle the issue of gun violence? How do we support our freedoms and protect our people? And we need a governor who can do the math, but also do the morality of making sure we take care of every single Georgian.
Thank you, Ms. Abrams. Governor Kemp, you have 30 seconds.
Well, I would just say that one way we deal with gun violence is to take the bad people that are doing the shootings and lock them up and not in cash bail like Ms. Abrams wants to do. But listen, she's also said that the silver bullet on health care is Medicaid expansion, adding 650,000 people. Well, there's been 600,000 people added to the Medicaid rolls since I've become governor. And the problem is it's a broken government program that she wants the government decide your health care that will also kick 200,000 private citizens off their private sector health care.
Thank you.
I may respond.
30-second rebuttal.
Just talk about this.
He called
just
her
for a
name.
second.
Miss Abrams, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
This is ridiculous.
Number one, Medicaid expansion will allow 500,000 Georgians who are working people to get access to health care. That is a good thing in a state where we have people dying every day from cancer, from issues with health, issues with diabetes, issues with heart disease. But number two, the 600,000 people that he references who are on Medicaid, they are put there because of the public health emergency. And when that ends, they will lose health care, which will add more people who are on the streets unable to get health care. Under this governor, we've lost 6 hospitals. We have ambulance wait times that are excessive, and our people need relief, and they need their money back.
I would like to weigh in.
We want to give our panelists a chance to ask more questions. So, Chuck Williams, it is your turn to ask a question, Mr.
It's insane.
Governor, the Democrats have controlled the U.S. Senate for 2 years because Georgia shifted from 2 Republicans to 2 Democrats in January of 2021. Correct. One of those seats was held by Kelly Loeffler, a person you appointed to that post. She then lost to Senator Warnock. Do you wish you had made a different choice when you selected Kelly Loeffler?
Well, no, not at all. I mean, I was excited about her candidacy. I know she worked extremely hard. It was a very challenging environment in 2020. And I think it goes to the point that in 2020, watching that election, I learned a lot of lessons. You know, a lot of the things that we haven't been doing with the ground game from a political perspective, we are now doing. Making sure that when we're campaigning, that we're making sure what we know the differences are with the candidates, but also we got to be for something. And what I'm for is doing another $1 billion tax rebate, for doing property tax relief grants, for continuing to strengthen rural Georgia and run rural broadband like we have been doing, that we started this program long before the pandemic hit. Doing economic development projects where 74% of the investment of over $30 billion over the last 2 record years is going to rural Georgia. Over half the 80,000 jobs that are going with those projects. outside the 10 metro counties in rural Georgia, and I'm committed to doing that in the future.
Mr. Hazel, if you would like to have 30 seconds, you may.
Thank you very much. The state of Georgia needs a governor who understands econ. The $200 trillion of unfunded liability in this country, as a veteran, understanding that we have a veterans health care system that is in shambles. They treat you as a liability, and they will throw pills at you every chance they get. They won't actually address your health. There is no way on earth we're going to expand that to the rest of the 99% of the country. It's a fairy tale, and it doesn't exist. That's why the economy is collapsing, because they continue to print trillions and trillions of dollars and hike interest rates at the same time. Policies like that are going to do the same.
Thank you. Jennifer Bellamy, it's your turn to ask a question.
This question is for each of you. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing Georgia and Georgians, and how do you think it should be addressed? What will you do as governor to address that challenge?
Let's start with you, Stacey Abrams.
Gang crime is up. Gun violence is up. Housing prices have skyrocketed. Equity investors have purchased 30% of the homes in the state of Georgia. We have 1.4 million people without health insurance who cannot see a doctor when they need one. We live in a state of fear. And this is a governor who, for the last 4 years, has beat his chest but delivered very little for most Georgians. He has weakened gun laws and flooded our streets. He has weakened our privacy rights and women's rights. He has denied women the access to reproductive care. The most dangerous thing facing Georgia is 4 more years of Brian Kemp. We need a governor who actually understands the math and the morality. We need to understand that, yes, we have veterans, like Mr. Hazel pointed out, who can't get access to health care, in part because they're not fully covered by VA benefits and will only get health insurance if we expand Medicaid. We have seniors who are being forced out of their homes because this governor refuses to address the issue of housing crises. In fact, he told an audience that he didn't want to upset investors by giving local authorities control over housing prices, letting them address the issues. We need a governor who will do more for more Georgians.
I want to give each one of them a chance to answer Jennifer's question. Shane Hayes.
The biggest problem facing us is the economy. But to quote the great Rothbard, the man who puts all the guns and all of the decision-making power into the hands of a central government and then says, limit yourself, is he truly the impractical utopian? The idea that the economy isn't the biggest problem that we have in Georgia is because people don't understand economics. These guys don't understand economics from Republicans or Democrats, or else we wouldn't be in the hole that we're in terms of trillions and trillions of dollars. What we need to do is get back to basics, Austrian economics, where we get rid of this cancer that has invaded every transaction that we have through a fiat currency system, creating freedom for everybody in Georgia is the default position. Not more government, not more programs, not more policies, not more point at the barrel of a gun, force and coercion.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
I'll first, since I didn't get a rebuttal after being called out, would just let Georgians know again that my record's being attacked because Miss Abrams doesn't want to talk about her own record. If you look at what the state of Georgia and our First Lady, Marty Kemp, has done to raise the awareness on ending human trafficking, going after the perpetrators and supporting the victim, as well as us working with the General Assembly to give Medicaid benefits to birthing mothers up to a year after having that child and other things, shows you our state that we value life and that we care. But in the future, my focus is going to be what it was when I opened the debate. And that is helping you fight through 40-year high inflation and disastrous policies in Washington, D.C. I would remind you that Stacey Abrams campaigned to be Joe Biden's running mate. She supports these policies that have raised taxes on hardworking Americans and Georgians when they promised they would not. We're working with the General Assembly to help you fight through that by suspending the gas tax and giving your money back.
Thank you very much.
Pocket.
Thank you very much. Greg, your next question.
Governor, I want to stay with you and talk about something that just came up in the last exchange a little bit. Earlier today, you rolled out a new public safety plan that offers a crackdown, or promotes a crackdown on criminal offenses. What it doesn't specifically address is gun violence. Your critics say that your permissive gun policies will only lead to more crime. What do you propose you will do in a second term if you're reelected to address gun-related crimes?
Well, again, we're going after the people that are doing these gun-related crimes. I mean, and that's what we're doing, going after street gangs in this regard. You know, during the pandemic, when I was talking to people about how we were responding and what we were dealing with, I was hearing from educators and athletic directors and other people saying, Governor, we got to get our kids back in the classroom because we're losing them. We're going to lose them a decade of children because these kids that we're recruiting when they're 13, 14, 15 years old to be on the ball field or be in the band or be on the robotics team or what have you, extracurricular activity, they're being recruited by street gangs because they're not in the classroom. So those are the kind of things that we are focused on to make sure that these kids are under the right environment. And my new public safety plan is stiffening penalties for gang members that are recruiting our children. And I believe that most Georgians support that. And I'm committed to working with all law enforcement to make a dent there.
Thank you. Chuck Williams.
This is for Governor Kemp and Ms. Abrams. Columbus, Macon, Atlanta, and other communities have benefited from a Georgia State Patrol task force that has helped augment police coverage in those cities and some others over the last year. What can be done to make sure that local agencies that are short on officers can handle these policing duties without having to rely on the state?
That's a good question.
Ms. Abrams.
Well, you actually asked Mr. Kemp.
I said for both. Okay.
Yeah, it's for both.
Yeah, look, I'm glad that answer that question. The crime suppressing unit that I asked Colonel Wright to put together during civil unrest when I grew tired of local elected political leaders that wouldn't let their local law enforcement go after dangerous people during civil unrest, that had no chase policies, where street racers and street gangs are terrorizing our citizens. I told Colonel Wright I wanted a plan, I wanted to know how much it's going to cost, and I want to know who we're going to work with. And that's why the State Patrol, GBI, Department of Natural Resources, game wardens, working with the Fulton County Sheriff, who's helped us with jail facilities, the Atlanta Police Department, we went and put a plan together to start going after street racers and going after violent criminals and have more boots on the ground. We've done the same thing in Columbus, we've done it in Macon, we've done it in Savannah, and we'll do it wherever we're needed. This is not our job. We're using funds from the governor's emergency fund to help pay for these dollars. And thankfully, the General Assembly supports that because we've been in the fight when others were not.
Thank you. Ms. Abrams.
Street gangs did not shoot 6 Asian women going into a gun store, getting a weapon, and murdering women in less than an hour. Street gangs aren't the reason people are getting shot in grocery stores and in parking lots and at schools. Street gangs are one part of the problem, but we have a governor who has weakened gun laws across this state, flooded our streets with guns by letting dangerous people get access to those weapons. Georgia does not have a waiting period. We do not have universal background checks. And one of the few permits that we had that was helping keep us safe stopped 5,000 people who should not have had weapons from getting them, got weakened by this governor with his criminal carry law. As the next governor, my intention would be to actually give the people who do 90% of law enforcement the support they need. We know that they have asked for at least $136 million so they can recruit and retain officers. I am the only candidate who's put in place a plan for at least $25 million in grants, not loans, to go to these local law enforcement officers so they can recruit and retain officers so that their officers aren't working 2 or 3 jobs simply to make ends meet.
Thank you. Before your rebuttal, Governor Kemp, Shane Hazel, you may respond to this question.
You keep going back to guns, Stacey, and I think it's going to be your undoing here in Georgia. Georgia, we're going to have less and less gun laws, whether it's under Republicans or Libertarians. Libertarians don't believe in any gun laws. We believe that you know how to best protect you and your property. And the biggest mass murderer in history is government. It's not private citizens. Most private citizens, like I said before, go throughout their day without doing any harm to anybody. However, the people in the government with all of the guns still go after people with a badge when they shouldn't have to. In Holly Springs, Georgia, I introduced the Helios Initiative, where we got rid of civil asset forfeiture. It was a one-page bill through decentralization, nullification, using the Constitution that made the officers in Holly Springs safer because they don't have to go out there and they don't have to harass people of color while driving while black. They don't have to go out there and look for drugs. They don't have to go out there and do any of these things because civil asset forfeiture is also the government stealing more than criminals, hardened criminals, from anybody and everybody in the state of Georgia.
Thank you. Governor Kemp, 30 seconds.
Well, thank you. I would just let people at home know the largest, fastest growing segment of the population that's buying handguns and firearms is African Americans and females. You know why? because the criminals are the only ones that do have the guns. You have local governments that are holding up concealed weapon permits that are keeping law-abiding citizens from being able to simply use their Second Amendment right to protect themselves and their property and their families. I will certainly support that.
Because
Thank you.
Mr. Hazel, may I respond?
Yes, 30 seconds.
Let's be clear. I believe that we can protect the Second Amendment and protect second graders at the exact same time. That means that, yes, more people are buying guns, but that's because they think that's the only way to protect themselves because guns have flooded our streets. These are communities that want to be safe. They don't want to have to carry weapons. I know how to shoot. My great-grandmother taught me. But I know that the person who is most responsible is the person who holds the weapon. And that is why I will quote Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. And because of the criminal carry law that Brian Kemp signed into law, there is no longer a background check for those who have concealed carry permits. That makes all of us less safe.
How are you going to
take
the guns?
Don, if I could respond.
How is she going to take the guns? That's a great
really
question.
want to move on.
Well, there is a federal background check. There's a federal background check on every individual that buys a firearm in the United States of America.
Which shouldn't exist either.
That is not true.
Well, the point,
Mr. Kemp, that's not true.
I understand the point you're making, but the point is, when you buy a firearm, you get a background check.
Mr.
And
Kemp,
none of the laws
More
changed.
Mr. Kemp, if you purchase a weapon in Georgia through a gun sale or a private sale,
Well,
through a
Mr.
gun
Abrams,
show or a
I
private
haven't-
sale, you're
I
not
All right,
subject
we're
to that.
going to have to move on.
Interrupted you tonight. And
I apologize.
Candidates, we
I
have
do
to
apologize,
move on.
Kemp.
I'm
I
going to
apologize.
allow Jennifer to ask what's going to be the final question in this round.
Reparations.
A study recently showed frustration among our nation's teachers with political interference into education with issues like COVID-19 and critical race theory presenting additional challenges to a profession that's already dealing with low pay, falling interest, and people leaving. What would you do specifically as governor to recruit, retain, and empower educators for schools across the state of Georgia for each of you?
Yeah, Brother Torian, I said
Shall I-
All right, we'll start with you, Ms. Abrams.
And let me again apologize to Mr. Kemp for interrupting. This
all.
is a very important topic to me, and I apologize for my outburst. I will say that when it comes to education, we know teachers are leaving the workforce. We have a 67% retention rate, but 70% of our teachers have said they would not recommend teaching to their colleagues. That is because of low pay, because of overregulation, because of high stress, and because they believe that they are being told to teach to a curriculum that does not reflect the values and needs of our students. When a teacher is told that you have to lie to a child, which is what happened with the divisive language, the divisive concepts legislation, teachers are not being able to teach a whole history of our students. They're not able to tell their children what they need to know. As the next governor of Georgia, I will repeal those laws, I will increase pay, and I will make certain that all of our teachers can start and continue through their time well paid and well protected and well supported by the government.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so only 45 seconds. So, Brian Kemp.
So the black woman got
Well, I would just say this is exactly why I did the $5,000 teacher pay raise that I ran on in 2018. We've also done a Parents' Bill of Rights to have parents fully engaged with their schools to make sure that they know what's happening in their kids. Quite honestly, people are tired of their kids being indoctrinated in the classroom. But we've also worked with our educators on these pieces of legislation to make sure that they make good common sense. But I would also tell you that people are tired of these issues like not having fairness in girls' sports and other things. And quite honestly, it's woken a lot of people up. So we got to continue to have good conversations like we've done with our teacher pipeline legislation, like we're doing with helping 9,000 parapros get fully certified to be in the classroom.
Thank you very
kids.
much. Shane Hazel, you get 45 seconds.
Your question raises a lot of interesting points. A lot of these teachers, like my own wife, has left the profession of teaching to homeschool, to go to private school, to do something outside of this narrative where admin from the federal government and the state government is forcing them to teach things they don't want to teach to test. They can't stand the administration who makes six figures. It is bloated. It has absolutely gotten out of control. We need to nullify property tax. We need to let people get out of the system. We need to allow the private sector to work, because before education was put under the thumb of government here, we had some of the brightest, most well-read people in the entire world, and that's what we need to bring back.
All right, thank you very much. We are running out of time, so that is all the time we have for questions. Each candidate will now have only 40 seconds for a closing statement. And Brian Kemp, you get the first closing statement.
Well, first of all, let me thank the Atlanta Press Club for having us. When I ran for governor in 2018, I promised to put hardworking Georgians first ahead of the status quo and the politically correct. I said shortly after being sworn in, I would work hard as your governor every single day for all Georgians, whether you voted for me or not. I'm so optimistic about the future of our state. The lowest unemployment rate in the history of the state, the most people working, and economic opportunity in all parts of our state, no matter your zip code or neighborhood. Stacey Abrams said Georgia's the worst state in the country to live. Well, Marty, the girls, and I disagree. We think Georgia's the greatest state in the country to live, work, and raise our children, and that's why I'm asking for your vote and support to keep it that way. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you. Stacey Abrams, 40 seconds.
I, too, want to thank everyone tonight for your support. And I want to point out that Brian Kemp did make promises. He promised to keep us safe, but crime has gone up. He promised to protect us, and yet he's attacked our freedoms. He has promised to take care of our families, and yet the rising prices in Georgia are rising because he refuses to expand Medicaid, because he refuses to tackle the affordable housing crisis that we have, and he's sitting on $400 million of our money that he will not spend to keep us under roofs and in our homes. As the next governor, I want us to have more money in our pockets, more protections in our lives, more freedoms in our days, and more opportunity in our communities. I see all of Georgia, and as the next governor, it would be my intention to serve all of Georgia. I encourage you to go to my website, StaceyAbrams.com, and please make a plan to vote, and know that I'm asking you for your vote tonight.
Thank you. Shane Hazel, you get the final 40-second closing statement.
Georgia, you are essential. We are in changing times. Technology, money, politics are all changing incredibly fast. As humans, our superpower is our ability to adapt to a changing world. This power to adapt, our passion and genius is unleashed when it is free. Free from tax, free from government and their lockdowns, free from government mandates, and free from force and coercion. You know best how to adapt and run your life, and that is your right to do so. It is time peaceful people were free to take on the challenges we face. Our message to the government is simple. It's time to leave peaceful people alone. If you believe the government is so damn essential,
we have to go. I'm sorry.
Stop robbing us at the point of a gun and compete.
That concludes our debate. We'd like to remind voters that Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th, and early voting has already begun. Our thanks to the candidates and to our panel of journalists. We'd also like to thank the Atlanta Press Club for arranging today's debate. For more information about the debates they will host this election season, visit atlantapressclub.org/debates. I'm Donna Lowry. Thanks for joining us for the Atlanta Press Club debates.
All right, y'all. That was the debate. You know, technical difficulties aside from both ends. I got the folk. As Jason Black said, the telephone line is now open. You want to come up and speak, come up. But please, if you do click it on your phone, use Safari or Chrome because it will not work in the YouTube browser. But folk, I said after that first question, it was going to go off the rails, but I want to hear what the family got to say. Stacey just sunk her entire campaign. When you invoke Ronald Reagan to black folks, you're not going to win. I'm sorry. Here we go. Keith Swain. Sir, of course, y'all clown the woman. See, you just came late. You came late. I clowned everybody, and everybody in the chat can tell you this. I clowned everybody. So you can come up and speak. Because it seems like you got some opinions. So come on up. The link is in the chat box. Come on up. Well, what did y'all think about that, family? I don't know. I don't know. This gonna be fun. I think Kemp got it. He did have the advantage of running on his record, and he knew he had to touch enough of Atlanta to get in, but he was talking to Central and Southern Georgia. Shane, Lord have mercy. He did not make the Libertarian Party look good tonight. He was not composed. I get he wanted to be pro-Constitution. Nah, can't do that. Not on that debate stage. You have to have tangible solutions, and you have to also sell your party to the constituents. Can't do that. Cannot do that. He was ready. He was ready to start cussing people out. Okay, we got somebody up here. We got the homie. Black Alpha Network. Hello, sir. And your thing is on red. So I don't know. Your thing is on red. Got 200 people in the building. What them likes look like? Black Alpha.
Family, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Man, brother, I'm ready for your breakdown, but you know I had to in, brother.
I actually preferred the Walker Warnock debate. I actually preferred that one. This one,
hey, well,
I said after that
there was
first
no
question, it was
tonight.
going to go off the rails. What's that you said?
There was no badges out there tonight, man. No dollar store, no badges tonight. So that was a plus.
Yes, sir. But what'd you think about it?
All right. Here's the difference, family. Here's the difference. Here's the difference. When you start dealing with these Republicans, they stand on what they mean based upon their anti-black racism. They to play games.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I got a troll.
You can hear me good, family?
Yeah, you good. It's just I got a troll in here.
Oh, okay. Deal. Here's the reason why these folks in the Republican Party, they're out there trying to placate to black folks and then still placate to racism. You understand where I'm coming from? When you start talking about a lot of these Democrats, they're trying to talk about both sides of the neck. 1 minute it's we're going to do this for these groups, and then it's going to be we're going to do this for black folks. And at the end of the day, we see through that. That's why every time Raphael Warnock was asked the question, his debate would have to think. He would say, "How can I say this to sound good, but still not upset white folks?" It's the same thing. Abrams. You ask her a question and it's and she starts trying to straddle fence. Republicans aren't out here to straddle fences. They're going to talk to their constituents, talk to their base, and absolutely overt. So when you're in a debate setting and trying to talk in covert terms and you're trying not to, this is what you're going to end up dealing with. So this is why Abrams always does and Raphael Warnock and they can't stand on anything. And on TV, it does not look good. It looks terrible.
Nope.
So basically, in terms of Herschel Walker family, Herschel Walker can barely speak. He stutters all over the place. He falls on the ground, gets back up, falls again. But at the end of the day, he knows his talking points. He knows to serve the dominant society. So that's the difference.
Yes, sir. Family. Woo. Now, Stacey, you know better, man. I don't know who coached you. It clearly wasn't Warnock's people. Again, you do not bring up someone that is on the negative side of the 80s. You don't do that. I think I don't have to tell everybody this, correct? You don't bring up Ronald Reagan. That's still a very sore spot in a lot of people's mind. But she also did something that most people don't realize. She was just crunching numbers. Let me explain something to y'all. When you're trying to run for a state office or federal office, do not hit them with consistent numbers. Do not hit the people with consistent numbers. Nobody wants to hear that. No one wants to hear that. The hell is this? Hello? Yo.
Hey, that's me, family. I'm switching up, brother. Can you hear me?
All right, say less. Do not bring this man up, please, Stacey. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't bring this man up. Anyway, hold on. I'm going to bring somebody else in. Quatman, hello.
Hey, if I get knocked out, I'm going to stay gone, okay? Because you know the thing does not like me. But yeah, very quickly, I wanted to say I have to give kudos to Kemp for directly speaking to the black folks that he knows that he has a great chance of winning, and not being afraid of saying African American, black, whatever. And also when the bald dude, he talked about drugs and then associated like the drug and gang activity to black folks. I noticed Kemp went right behind him and said, hey, black folks and women are getting more guns for their own self-protection. So I thought that was really intelligent of him, and I thought that he stayed kind of. I don't know. He looked cool to me, but.
Yeah, they got her. Yeah, but nah, he could run on his record. That's about it. He didn't have to do much. He just had to run on his record and tell what he's going to do for his last 4 years. But Keith Swain, I'm still waiting for you to come up here. We're not going to do this back and forth in the chat. You got a lot to say. Come on up. This is a safe space. But go ahead, Black Alpha. And now his internet not working. Black Alpha. You might have to come back in, bro. It's not working too well. But yeah, family. I'm sure Stacey's going back there right now, and she like this here. That's how her team is looking right now.
You can hear me, brother?
Nah, I can hear you, brother.
Hey, you wrong for that last video, family.
Hell nah, man. That's how her team is looking at her right now.
Hey, so basically what we're seeing here is we're seeing in the last few days, Republic up 2-0.
And the Libertarians are about 0-1.
Facts. Big facts, family.
Damn. Hey, all right, family. I like y'all to understand what just happened with this debate too. That I know the right will not pick up because they like to ride with them libertarians too. Do y'all realize that indirectly Shane Hazel made MAGA look bad just now? Because a lot of MAGA identify with the Libertarian Party. They just made them look bad. I don't want to say it.
The political spectrum is changing, family. It's starting to change.
Yes, sir. Keith Swain, you're still being summoned. Let's go. You don't get to say this and run. Let's go. Come on. I ain't even finna block you from my channel, but y'all got a lot to say. Let me tell you why I'm gonna vote for Kemp. Stacey's going to actively destroy the black folks in this state. I can't have that. She avoided saying black, but she made sure to say Asian. She had an opportunity in this debate to call out white supremacy. She didn't do it. She had an opportunity to say, I need to get these rogue agents and these gangs out of these police stations. Didn't say it. Said, I'm going to give them more money. I expected Kemp to say that. I expected him to say that. Now, I didn't like his question when he asked her how many sheriffs are endorsing you. I didn't like that question. I didn't like him going at her like that. That was dumb. You should have just let her bring that up. Then you could have rebutted and said, well, obviously they did that because they trust what I'm doing. You would have won there. You made it seem like a pissing contest. I got 100, you got 0. Nah, boo boo. But this Stacey, you did not look good. And thank you, Smoke Splitter. Thank you for saying it. Because I was just about to bring this up. She was kissing Fannie Will's ass the whole time. I hope y'all picked that up. She's down with her Ricoing all these rappers out here.
Hey, and she's at the same time letting race soldiers go too, ain't she?
Yes, sir. She didn't say nothing about them race soldiers that beat up that couple over by Atlanta University Center. Didn't say a word.
That's the collective, though, family. That's the real house mammies of Atlanta. That's exactly what it is. And you see them all in play at the same time. To what we were saying earlier, though, brother, do you see the difference on how the Democrats, they're lying so much that they got to sit there and pause and stutter and all that? When you start talking about and Herschel Walker, they answer questions directly. They may be ignorant, answers. They may be we don't necessarily agree with, but they stand on their square. You can literally see the Democrats thinking about what lie, how they're going to make it sound like they're supporting black folks, but they're really not, how they can spin it, twist it, turn it around every single time they speak. You can literally see them lying. So this is why they go nowhere. And that's why people ain't really dealing with them. And this is why they're going down flat. And I'm going to tell you like this, with all the time, energy, and the resources that they've spent on Stacey Abrams, what return has she got them, brother? What return has she had? Remember, let's rewind. 2020, she was supposed to be Mammy Luther King.
I got the number one right here. I got the number one right here. She brought all the mammies out and all the bootlickers out who don't even live in this state, mind you, to go on their Instagrams and Twitters to stump for her. Because that's what Atlanta needs. They need more celebrities down here. That's what they need.
You know what they're going to run into, family? Now they're going to run in and they're going to see that all of that stumping for her, all that pumping her up, all those mammies, everybody, the entertainers and all that came down her, and she still hasn't won one election worth significance at all. At all. Be honest with you, she's probably the most overhyped politician in the world. Like I said, but go back to 2020. They were campaigning and championing her as the new face of the Democratic Party. Look at the type of promotion that she got opposed to Kemp. Do you think anybody outside of Georgia could even point out Kemp? I don't think they can. They probably just think it's another white guy.
But Southern racist white guy.
Another Southern racist white guy, which you can find one on pretty much every corner. But when you start talking about her, she's a nationwide figure, but hasn't won anything locally. What returns are they getting? They better go get a refund. And this right here is me and you were saying earlier today, brother. This right here is very indicative of the future, where they're spending all this money on Warnock, they're spending all this money on Stacey.
Would you say that Stacey is LeBron James before he won the title?
I would absolutely say that. A lot of bark with no bite.
Because I remember when Stephen A. Smith went off on him after they lost to Dallas, and he said, "You acting like you won the title. It bothers me. You got to get it done. There's no more excuses, ma'am. Okay, so you played accountant. You brought up Reagan. You didn't answer questions like Warnock, and you've instilled no confidence outside of your base.
None.
Yeah. If you thought you were going to get Central and Southern Georgia, you lost. All you had to do was say reparations. You would have won.
Oh, hands down. Think about it, brother. The other day, she laid out her whole reparations plan and didn't reparations.
She mentioned tangibles. Matter of fact, I think she even said it in this debate. She said tangibles.
And that's the problem, family. The little trinkets and the little crumbs that they're trying to do, that's the problem. And this is what we're talking about with the Republicans. When they speak about their people, they're giving full detail. Whenever you start dealing with the Democrats, they got to give you crumbs and things so they can still straddle the fence. There's no fence to straddle when you start talking about conservatives down south, particularly. They're saying what they say, and all of their whoever are going to come vote for them. When you start talking about Stacey Abrams, she has to try to placate to this community, that community, that community, and at the same time, not piss off white folks. And that is a terrible fence to try to straddle because you're not even neighbors. Let me ask you this question, brother.
Yeah.
How long until the Democratic Party starts to turn on her for the lack of results that she's getting?
November 9th.
Damn.
November 9th. I'm telling you right now, folks, I need y'all to listen to me when I tell you this. These Democrats already know there's going to be Armageddon, which is what what they like to call the red wave. I call it Armageddon. The Republicans are going to take over. Now you're giving Biden and Harris an excuse to say they can't get nothing done, right? Cool. Republicans are going to try to clean up the last 2 years so they can make their Republican candidate look good. Family, I'm telling you, Matthew McConaughey is coming. I'm telling you. I need y'all to get ready for this. He's coming. He's getting prepped right now. He watched this debate, family. Georgia's off the board right now. I'm telling y'all that right now. If Kemp wins this, Georgia is safe. We need Kemp and Walker to win. Georgia's safe for about, I want to say 4 years. This is when we get the grassroots candidate in to take his seat in 26 and go for Herschel's seat in 28. Stacey's out, but what's going to end up happening, she's going to be on that Democrat national debate stage. I'm telling you this right now. That's going to be her last shot because they're going to try to reinvent her. Matthew McConaughey is coming, folks. You're going to start hearing rumblings of his name after the midterm. I'm telling you. Him and Beto, they're going to be the Texas tornado to go after the Republicans. He comes off, he's more charismatic than Stacey. He's a good-looking white man. He's going to be their face. They're going to let Biden leave with grace. I'm telling you this right now. We need to make sure, I know y'all don't like him, Kemp and Walker are going to win these races. And we're going to have 4 years to go underground and do something. Rob Allbanks, The Rock already said he's not running. That man is not giving up $20 million a film to go run for $400,000 a year. He's not doing it. And he's not going to get any help from the black grassroots because he advocated for the jab. No. And he advocated for Biden. Not happening. He pissed off a lot of black wrestling fans advocating for Biden. He ain't even gonna make it past the first debate. He might not even make it to the stage. So let's enjoy him as Black Adam this week and leave it at that. Go ahead, Black Alpha.
Say this real quick, and I'm gonna get up, fam, because I think I'm a little choppy because I'm out of the country. All I'm gonna say is this: that blue wave of 2020 ended up being a small tide. With that said, family, I'm about to tune in and head to the chat, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming in. Somebody just made another point. Where is it? You say Gavin Newsom. No. As good as he's doing with the reparations task force, and he's more or less making sure that it goes smoothly, he ain't gonna win. 2020 is gonna bite him in the ass. And what California has descended into is gonna bite him in the ass. He ain't got it. Especially with what just happened with the LA City Council. They're not going for that. They can't put. He can be on this stage. He ain't gonna. They're not gonna pick him. He can probably try to sell himself to try to get a job if the Democrats win, but nah, he's not gonna win it. Oh, we got another one. Thurman Phillips II. You never did your homework on Trump. You sure about that? You can come up. The link is up top. You can come up and tell me which homework I didn't do on Trump. Please educate us on Trump. Please. I want to hear this. But while he's deciding if he comes up or not, I'm on Twitter, family, because I want to see what the feedback was. I'm trying to see if somebody's going to say, oh, they didn't let her talk. Let's see. That's PBS. During a Monday evening debate against Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams, Governor George Brian Kemp said he would not go beyond the 2019 bill. He signed to ban nearly all abortions at 6 weeks of pregnancy. Okay, there's that. That's Shane. I don't see no hate. Debate night in Georgia. Stacey Abrams denied her prior election denials, but refused to say whether she'll accept the outcome of her November rematch against Brian Kemp because we know she's not going to accept it. So they're really this Howard Mortman really loves him some Shane. Nobody. All right, let's do this. Let's do Stacey Abrams. Let's see. There's no recent. Here we go. Stacey Abrams is obliterating Brian Kemp with facts and proving he has no plan for Georgia. What debate were you watching? You must be, of course, Antifa operative. Of course, you're a bot. Oh, yeah. Come, really? All right. Stacey Abrams paid off the medical debt of 62,000 Georgia. She's registered 10,000 new voters. She's not the problem. You sure about that? All right. That was in October 16th, though. Oh, this shill. The most dangerous thing facing Georgia is 4 more years of Brian Kemp. And you like that. Sir, I would suggest you be quiet before I expose you. But us over here in the new black media, you've steered clear of us. Keep it that way. Oh, you got more. She's electric. Boogie woogie woogie. Nobody's really. There's no tweets about it. Oh, here we go. Ah, you're an immigrant, of course. Biden Harris, Democrat. Okay, say less. Good old boy Brian Kemp's lazy debate strategy leaning into tired racist mad black women tropes against Stacey Abrams. Well, she didn't combat that now, did she? Thurman, let's go. Come on, Thurman. The link is up top. Come on. You're doing all that talking in there. Come on. Or did you run? Come on, sir. I don't mind having a conversation. Come through. Republicans in the last 4 years brought record wealth to Black America. And Operation Talon, look that up one time. Our kids were not being trafficked at the rate that they are now. Record Black businesses were made in 2019 and 2020, including the females. She's coming up on Wednesday, folks. Wednesday. Because of this tweet. And I ain't going to spoil it. Yeah. Brian Kemp is going to have Stacey Abrams' heel surgically removed after tonight's debate. I wonder if you feel the same way. Amazing Stacey Abrams. What are y'all watching? What is this? Scamming voter access for profit. Stacey Abrams voting accessibility pack is being investigated after thousands to director families and friends with no political experience, including $120,000 for consulting services to director's sister. Ooh. Daily Mail. Okay. Okay, Daily Mail. I see you. Okay. Okay. FC 775. Y'all voting for Stacey? Hell no. Hell no. When she loses on November 8th, this gonna be me.
I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some fun.
Okay, we have Thurman. Hello, Thurman. How are you?
How you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So you said that I didn't do my homework on Trump. Please elaborate.
Okay. Do you know about any business that Trump started that are still working businesses?
Yes, sir. You mean like Trump Tower and all that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the casino businesses, the airline.
Yeah, they went down, yes, like most of Atlantic City.
They all did. And your comment
like Atlantic
was,
City, yes.
Yeah, Atlantic City did. I worked in the area in the transportation business that at that time, he was the owner. And he actually destroyed that city.
Okay, that's fine. But you said what had Republicans done in the last 4 years, and 2 of those were Trump's presidency. So please educate us on what he did not do for Black people.
Anything that Trump does is definitely for Trump only. So if you think that because he signed any deals to help schools or Black communities, it didn't happen.
Like?
That's one right there. For schools, period. Okay?
Schools. Okay.
Trump is in the business of making money. No, I'm sorry, in the business of taking money. Because even today, as he is asking for people to donate to him,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting an echo. That's why this thing is so bad right now.
You might have the YouTube app open.
Pardon me?
You might have your YouTube app open. If you click the link through the YouTube app, you're going to hear an echo.
Yeah.
That's why I said you should do it through Chrome or Safari.
All right. How's that? Is that better?
I hear you fine.
Okay. It's getting the echo in.
Well, you have the app open in the back end. You probably, when you click the link, did it switch to another browser?
No.
So it went to Chrome or Safari?
Yes, I'm on Chrome.
You might have to close the YouTube app.
It's not working.
Well, I can hear you fine, so it's okay. We'll just deal with it.
Okay. Someone just made a comment that Trump gave up 4 years of salary. Trump never gives up anything. Did you know, like today, he,
All right, say that again.
Trump never gives up anything. Okay. This is not working for me.
Like I said, you can are you using your computer or your phone?
No, I'm on my computer.
Okay, so what you should do is right click the link, copy it, and then close the browser and come back in on a fresh browser.
Okay, how's this?
That's fine. I hear you perfectly on my side.
Okay. Okay, as I was saying, when Trump does something, Trump does it for him to get money. Why is any businessman that's supposed to be worth over $1 billion asking to send him money, his legal fees, his legal for his legal fees?
Mm-hmm. He's a businessman. He can do whatever he wants.
That's not business. That's stealing. That's taking.
How is that stealing? Donation's not stealing, sir, unless he went in your bank account. Unless he went in your bank, sir, unless he went in your bank account and took the money, that's not stealing. A donation is not stealing. If he's asking the public to give him money, they give it to him. That's not theft. I can seriously ask everybody in here right now to hit my Cash App. Are they going to come back and tell me that I stole money from them? Now, if I use it for something nefarious, then yeah, they might have a point. But he's asking for his legal funds. They can choose not to do it. Now, what he does with that money, if he publicly makes it and it was not intended for what it was for, then yeah, then it's stealing. Because you got money under false pretenses.
So you're saying that the money that he asked people to donate or give him through their supposedly one-time donation people were getting billed monthly through their cards.
Yes, I know companies that do that all the time.
Knowing it. Without
I know
knowing
companies that did. I've been a victim of that as well. Yes.
Oh,
you
so
gotta
you're a
make sure you
victim.
read it.
That means that was theft.
Yes, but I corrected it with my
Okay,
bank.
so I'm saying.
But I corrected it with my bank.
If asking,
But that
if
might
he-
not be on him. Does he control that service?
he was taking money
That's
out
not the
of people's
question I
accounts.
asked. Was he
What was the
control of
question?
that service? Was he control of the service that processed the payments?
I don't know if he was a process of them
Usually
controlling
they're
the
not.
service.
Usually
Okay.
it's third party.
Okay, but at
So,
the same
yeah.
time, if it's a recurring charge, who controls that?
That's between
Without
you
someone
and the
knowing it.
company that processed the payment, not Trump.
Okay, that means then that some way it had to be set up in a different way for it to be charged to that account
No,
every month.
companies set that up. I know some companies that
Yes.
set that up like that.
And and then what happens? They have to turn around, which he did. He turned around, and gave back that money also, thousands of dollars. Some
What do you mean
people
he
were
gave it
getting.
back?
He had to give it back, just like his
Okay,
charity.
so he gave it back.
Just like no, but when you're doing it one way, the way he was doing it, such as with Trump University. Did you know that he gave back over thousands of dollars to the so-called students of Trump University before he became president? Prior to that, he was not giving it back. The only reason why he gave it is because he was running for president.
Correct. You're still not. I think we're getting off on a tangent here. You still
No, I'm
said
not
that
getting off on
Republicans
a
haven't
tangent.
done anything for 4
trying
years.
to-
Sir,
trying to do
I'm going by what you said. Hang on.
introduce you
I'm
to
going by
the-
what you said in the chat. You said Republicans have not done anything for Black America in 4 years. And I said 2 of those years Trump was in office. So I want you to explain what he did not do for Trump. Sir, would you like me to pull up your comment? That's what I just said, sir. That's exactly what I just said. You said Republicans did not do anything for Black folks. That's what you said in the chat.
Republicans did not do. That's not what I said.
And I said 2 of those
what
years
did
Trump
they
was in
do?
office. What did he not do?
I said
Because
what
he
did
has
he
to
do?
sign that bill. He has to sign that bill. What did
Pull
he
up the
not do for
comment.
Black people? I'm
Please
pulling it
pull
up.
up the
Hang
comment.
on one second.
Okay.
I'm finding it. Hang on one second. Let's see. Where is that comment? Trying to find your initial comment. Here we go. You said, what have the Republicans delivered to the Black community in the last 4 years? They have taken more than they will ever give. And my question was the same thing. I repeated that, and I said two of those years Trump was in office. So what have they not done? Maybe I missed something. Please tell us what he did, what the Republicans did not do.
They have not looked out for. I'm not saying that Democrats are right in everything.
I'm keeping it on the Republicans. I'm keeping it on the Republicans because I already know.
Republicans.
Here's let me just give you a little. Hang on. I'm going to let you finish. All I'm going to say is people that are in this chat that usually watch my live streams, they know how the Democrats roll. We don't celebrate Democrats over here. We already know they're not for us. But a lot of times we don't talk about the Republicans because we just figure we've been taught that the Republicans do not do anything for Black folks. They don't even want to talk to us. So you said that they did not do anything. So let's educate the folk on what the Republicans have not done in 4 years. Because again, a lot of people do not follow politics like that. So please go ahead.
There are a lot of bills that were submitted to Congress that would help blacks, period, that were not delivered because they were not voted on by the Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who controlled
So
this? Who controlled the House and Senate in the last 2 years?
That's the last 2
4
years. I
years.
said the last 4 years.
Okay, who controlled the House and Senate the last 4 years?
That was the Republicans.
No, it was not, sir. It was the Democrats. The Democrats took back control in 2018, led by the Squad.
In the Senate, that was the House.
Both houses. Both houses, sir. Both houses, sir.
I don't know what's that one at. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. 2018. Yes, sir. The Senate was no, you're right. The Senate was a slim majority to the Republicans until 2020.
Exactly.
So for the last 2 years, the Democrats have been running all the bills.
Right. And I said, well, if there are bills now, the rescue plan is put into effect, right?
The rescue plan. Do you want to talk about the rescue plan? Okay. Please
No,
go ahead.
Talk about it. I'm just asking a question.
Mm-hmm. Rescue plan is a Democrat
bill. It was
bill.
put into effect,
please.
Which means now that where people are getting more for their what they didn't get prior now, right?
Like what?
Health care benefits are better. Well, hopefully they'll be better, right? Infrastructure should be better.
Benefits? How is healthcare going to be better?
When you're a senior, you say that because the new cap on medicines will not benefit seniors.
What new? The cap on medicine? How does that help when Medicare is going to be the way that the Democrats positioned it? How's that going to help them when their primary care insurance kicks them off? Because you can go and look up those articles of seniors saying that they can't afford both insurances, so they have to kick off the other one, and they already know Medicaid and Medicare are not as good as their regular insurance. So they're about to run into a wall.
What's going to happen when
they're going to run into a wall next year?
When the Republicans come back into power, what is their first agenda? What is the agenda for them as to end
close the
Social
border?
Security?
It's to close the border.
The border has been an issue for years, and it's not going to end with them. If it was going to end with the Republicans, it would have been so years ago when they had all the power.
What did Trump run on, sir?
Securing the border.
Okay. And was he not in the process of securing the border? Was he not in the process of securing the border until he lost?
How do you secure the border when you take kids away from their parents and not
don't do that.
Return them?
Don't do that, because he was not the only one that did it. Don't do that.
No,
Obama started that. So if you're going to call Trump on that, you better call Obama out on that.
Obama did not take kids away from their parents.
Okay, if I prove you right, you put $10 on my Cash App right now.
No.
So will you admit that I'm right?
Because I'm not betting.
Because you can go look this up. Sir, you can look this up with me in real time. Obama was taking kids away from their parents way before Trump got into office. He's the one that built the cages that AOC sat there and fake cried about. Would you like me to pull it up?
That would be up to you.
No, I'm asking you. Would you like me to pull it up?
I knew that Obama did something that weren't right. Like I said before, the Democrats were not the perfect party. None of them are, and none of them will ever be.
Mm-hmm. You mean like killing Omar Gaddafi and starting slavery back in Africa? And all he could say was, "I'm sorry." Not send no troops over there to stop it. All he could say was, "I'm sorry." Mean like that? Mean like lying to, not once, but twice, lying to the American people about him not selling guns to the cartels? So much so that after he got caught the second time, he threw Eric Holder under the bus? That Obama.
And what happened back
How he
when
lied, how he was spying on the Associated Press and then tried to lie about it when he got caught. I cape for no politician over here. Trump has his faults, yes, and I called out Trump many times on here. I say he should have pardoned Julian Assange. He didn't do it. He should have went harder with his platinum plan. He shouldn't have waited till 6 weeks before the election to say something about it. Trump has his faults, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like for the last 2 years of his presidency, he didn't do nothing for black folks. Record wealth, record black businesses being made. Our kids were not trafficked through Operation Talent, which gave me the reason why I should have voted for him. My wife and I were about to buy a house before all this stuff went down. Now I'm going to criticize him on the jab. He shouldn't have been the face of that. And if he does run again, he's going to get killed on that. They're already starting blaming him for that. But we're not going to sit up here and lie and say he was putting kids in cages and separating kids when the previous administration was doing it first. He was just continuing the process.
I did not say that Obama didn't do it. I did not.
You brought up Trump, and I said Obama did the same thing. Let's not do that. And when I told you I would pull it up, you weren't saying, "Hey, show it to me."
I didn't have to say show it to me because I know it was done. You're right, it was done.
So why are you bringing up Trump if you're not going to bring up the previous administration doing the same thing?
And I did prior to that many of the other administrations did the same thing.
Okay.
But
we're getting off track. What else didn't the Republicans do?
No one else is correct, and when they do it.
Okay, what else did the Republicans not do?
With all the stuff that you're saying that they did, a lot of this stuff started with, the economic boom. That didn't start with Trump, with the last administration. Correct? Am I correct on that?
Whose budget was in place? Whose budget was in place?
That was Trump's budget at the time, but where did it start?
Started in 2018, sir.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
The economic rise started back with Obama because many of the financial companies were about to go under. If he didn't put out, what was it, like $700 billion to start saving the banks?
You're talking about the bailout?
Yeah,
that he said he wasn't going to do, then ended up doing that bailout. I think you need to go study that bailout and realize that was not a good deal for American people.
Did it start there? Did it start there? Because a lot of banks didn't fold. You're saying that if you're saying that they did, they didn't.
I can't put that on him. I got to put that on them banks for putting out them loans. Them subprime loans, telling people that had shitty credit. No, those banks were telling people with shitty credit, I'll give you a house, no money down. And then realized that they were going to lose a record profit. So they said, nah, we got to come back and restructure it. And then made them same people who couldn't afford that house start paying for that house. Then you ended up in a situation where you had foreclosure up the ass, which is what we're about to be hit with next year. Because all these people that got all these houses for a song, or they're overpaying for it, cannot afford it because inflation is still going up. So you're going to see record foreclosures again. I'm down here in Georgia. I see for sale signs all the time. People are trying to get out now.
And that's not the only time it happened, and it's not the only time it's going to happen. It's
correct.
A recycle. It's a recycle of like back in the day. You have a fashion of this year, this 10 years, and the next 10 years is different. And then all of a sudden, everything that was old is new again.
Correct. Okay. Again, what else did Republicans not do for black people?
If you think that, let's see.
Because say what you want about Trump, unemployment rate was the lowest for black folks in history.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
He had to sign. He had to make sure the Republicans and Democrats were on board with that, correct? With his initiatives, they had to vote on that, right? When he presented those bills and those executive orders, they had to agree with it, correct?
That's true. But then the financial gap between
signal again. God damn it, Thurman, are you there?
Between whites and blacks were also not gaining power there. With a
that's
lot
not
of
on the
black
president, sir.
businesses going under.
Sir, that's on Congress. That's on all three branches. I can't put that on one person. That's decades of legislation against black people. I can't put that on that man. Now, if you want to say he didn't do anything to try to help it, we can have that argument. But I'm not going to sit up here and put all that on Trump.
That's where I'm going with that. I'm not saying that it was just not on the three branches. He didn't help.
What did you like him to do?
I would for him not have been in office.
So you just don't like him because you don't like him?
No, it's not that I don't like him. I don't like his business tactics.
I was in the same boat as you, brother. I was in the same boat as you when he got in.
I've seen his destruction of businesses. And
I feel you.
I've seen his destruction of business.
Brother Thurman, and I was in the same boat as you in 2016. I did not trust that man. I thought he was just going to give his buddies bailouts and just mess the system up. And I thought he was going to have his finger on the nuclear button. You're right. I was in the same boat as you. And I said, after he got in, I'm going to watch him for 2 years. In 2018, that was his first full year. It was his budget. Let's see what he does. And I got to admit, the man did enough to convince people that he was for this country. I have to give him his props on that. He was talking about closing that border. He was talking about closing the border. He was talking about putting money back in Americans' pockets and making sure that these liberal agendas do not go out of hand. I had to give the brother his props. And when he did Operation Talent and they saved all them black kids down here in Georgia, I said, I got to vote for that man. And you saw what happened when he lost. Everything is now ramped up to hell. But if you don't like that man, that's fine.
No, I said I don't.
And you don't like his business tactics.
I do his business tactics.
That's his business tactics got hundreds of billions of dollars of our intellectual property back, which I'm sure Biden probably sold off already. By the way, did you know that Biden ended his funding for HBCUs?
No, I haven't kept up with this.
Yes, sir. He did that within his first 100 days. He ended Trump's permanent funding.
So you're saying
he ended Operation Talon in March of 2021. He let it lapse. They asked ICE asked him, "Are you going to restart it?" He said no. And now we see the cartels doing what they do. You're seeing what he's doing with the oil over in Saudi Arabia. They had to call him out because he tried to hide the fact that he has to raise gas prices in an election season.
And I agree with that. He should have been called out.
You want the gas up?
No, I'm saying no. I said he should have been called out because he should not have gone there, period. Saudi Arabia is one of the worst countries that you can ever deal with.
Correct. But we were energy independent under the last administration.
But we don't have to be. Out of all these years, all the years that we've had the technology, if this is the technological country of the world, we should not depend on any other country when it comes to having our own.
I feel you on that, but the technology is not there. That's what the liberals like to tell you.
It just has not been expounded.
It's not there, sir. It's not sustainable. The electric vehicles are not sustainable, sir. How is the battery costing more than the entire car? And the battery cannot be broken down.
Because
It takes 99 years for
businesses,
it to be broken down.
okay, like I said, businesses do what they do best. They hold back on things until they can see they can start making more money. Who in the world can afford really in Georgia a Tesla?
Do you
How many
know
people
how
you
many?
see riding
Do you know
around
how
in
many
Teslas
people
every
down
day?
here drive Teslas?
And do they live in a trailer or do they live in homes?
Sir, do you live in
Multi-million-dollar
Georgia?
homes.
Wait, do you live in
No, I
Georgia?
don't. No, I don't.
Okay, I live in Georgia. Do you know how many Teslas are out here? And they live in nice condos and nice complexes and nice mansion style houses out in Alpharetta and Hiram and Monroe and
So if
what is it? Rome, Rome.
if you can put a percentage on it, how many would you consider?
I see maybe in this city, maybe 30%, because they get tax
30%.
rebates for having an electric vehicle down here.
30% on the cost of the vehicle.
No, 30% Tesla is driving around Atlanta right now because they get tax rebates. When you go to Kroger, you can go charge your car. They're incentivizing businesses to put electric vehicle charging stations in front of their businesses.
Are you in Atlanta?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I haven't been to Atlanta in years. I know the city.
Yes, sir. I've been down here for a year and a half. I've been down here for a year and a half.
Okay,
I've seen more
I haven't
California
been
fleets
there.
coming over here with Teslas than anything else.
Well, I can see a lot of people from LA coming there. I used to live in LA.
That's what I've been warning. That's what I've been warning my channel about for the last 3 months. They're trying to turn Atlanta into LA East.
And it's been doing that. With the help of Tyler Perry.
Google just threw 400 people out of their homes so they could build a building in Midtown.
And I've seen other companies do the same thing.
That's why I'm trying to teach the family, you need to vote for an agenda that is going to be black first. Because if this is supposed to be the mecca of black excellence, you cannot have it turn into something else that is not black excellence. And Stacey Abrams and the Democrats are actively trying to turn this into an AAPI safe haven, along with the illegal immigration. And I don't like Kemp, but at least he's trying to stop it. He's not for illegal immigration. At least I can rock with him on that. And that's why I voted for Trump, because he's against illegal immigration.
Hear a lot. Here's what I see and hear a lot about illegal immigration. These people are coming here, and they're like a lot of people saying that these people are coming in taking our jobs. I didn't see anybody across that border or hear of anybody that crossed that border that has, to the hospitals or doctor's offices that I go to, and I'm in the South, come in and replaced anyone there in the years that I've lived here.
What do you mean replaced?
I can see them. I see a lot of them come over, and they're out working out in the fields, and I see them doing a lot of grass cutting. I see them doing a lot of construction.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
Because there's a lot of people that will not do that type of work.
That's what they want you to think.
A lot of Americans will not do that.
No offense, brother, but they got you with that talking point. That's not the reason why. They hired them for cheap labor. They'll work cheaper because they want the job so they could stay here.
Of course,
so they can fulfill their visa. Right. They're not going to want to. They're not going to want to hire us at $16.50 to do that job correctly. They'll hire them at $10.50, where basically you see where the fast food places are, to do that job and save $6 per hour per worker.
And we're on agreement with that. And that's You're saying it one way, and I'm saying it another way.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. We're on agreement with that. But they're not taking anybody's job. They're doing jobs that people in this country do not want to do.
Sir, I've hired people down here. They would rather take the Latino.
Of course they would.
I know people that hire people in this city and the surrounding areas. They would look at the Latino first, even if the black person has the qualifications. I've seen it. They're trying to supplant black folks in this country. They're not putting the illegal immigrants in Georgia. They're not putting them where the white folk are. They're putting them in Fairburn. They're bringing them to Gwinnett. They're bringing them to Decatur. They're not putting them in Midtown because they know Midtown would say something. They're not bringing them to Ansley Park because they know them white folk up there would say something. They damn sure ain't dropping them off in Buckhead because no matter who's up there, white, black, Asian, whatever, all of them would be spitting mad, going down to City Hall, yelling at them, which is why they've been talking about separating from Atlanta and becoming their own incorporated city.
I'm not familiar with any of the with Georgia, period.
Where in the South are you? Where in the South are you?
I'm in South Carolina.
Okay, you're in South Carolina. I would ask for you to jump on I-20 one day when you have like a week off or something. Jump on I-20 and ride past Alabama and Mississippi, and I guarantee you'll see nothing but Mexican restaurants along that line. They're trying to get rid of black folks in the South because they know this is the last area where we can have a large political and economic base. They're already done it in Florida. They've run black folks out of Florida. South Carolina and Georgia are next. Because once those three states fall, everything else in the Southeast is going to fall.
I agree with you.
Right. That's what they want. Because they know anywhere else we go, we're going to have to either deal with them racist white boys or we're going to have to go deal with the politics like they had over in L.A.
We've been dealing with them. We're still dealing with them. They're undercover.
But it's going to be worse because we don't have but what I'm saying is it's going to be worse because then at that point we won't have anywhere else to go. At least we're in the South right now. We can come down here and say, okay, we can build something down here, which is black folks have been doing. And we're getting our political power up around here. That's why they're scared of people like Marcel Dixon over in South Carolina, because he went and challenged Clyburn, came in 6 months late, and still took 4% of the vote away. Imagine if he had 4 years of prep. That's why they're putting all the bootleg politicians in the South now, like Stacey Abrams, like Aramis Ayala out in Florida. They want them to control this area and get all the illegals in here and get rid of black folks because they all want to talk about black and brown. We're off that.
You know, I'm sitting here and I just read a comment. Somebody said Trump was for America first. Wow. You know, that kind of comes from one of David Duke's sayings, America first.
And Trump stole MAGA from Ronald Reagan.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, when you say America first, think about where it comes from and what they're trying to do with it.
Well, if he's for white supremacy first, I mean, at least he's overt with it. At least he's overt with it. I'd rather my white supremacists be overt than covert like Biden. I'd rather Trump tell me fuck you to my face.
Well, he's definitely doing that now.
I mean, he told Kanye fuck you today, so I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
but here's the thing with Trump, we expected that.
Yeah, he's a very selfish person.
Correct. And you don't see black folks. You can go anywhere. Black folks don't get upset about what Trump says. We just say, oh, it took him this long to say it. The problem we have with Biden, sir, is Biden actively sat there for 8 months acting like he was for black folks and snowed all the black folks. Most of them, I should say. I shouldn't say all. He snowed most black folks. Now he's been in office for 2 years. He has not produced. I ask black folks all the time that voted for him, come outside and explain your man. They won't do it. Y'all who did not like Trump, y'all made him and MAGA come outside for 6 years trying to explain that man. Well, all they've asked was come outside and explain Biden and Harris. Y'all won't do it. I'm not saying you. I don't know if you voted for him, but I'm saying those voters, they will not come outside and defend him. And then they'll troll when he puts up something on his official Twitter page about something that he did, which you can easily fact check and find out it was a lie or exaggerated, but you can't tell them that. But if it was Trump, everybody would be fact checking him.
Well, I'm not on social media, period.
No, that's fine. But I'm just saying this is what goes on out here. MAGA had to answer for that man from the day he came off that escalator to the day to hell today till today. He had a day. Everybody had to answer for that man. People lost their family members over this man.
Yes, they did.
And people lost their family members over Biden and this jab.
Yes, they did.
So my point is,
I'm not defending.
We can't sit here as voters and say this one candidate is doing this, but this other candidate's not doing that. If it's not black first, as a black person, you don't vote for them because every other group is telling their people don't do that. If Stacey and them are running to other groups, telling them what they're going to do tangibly with layouts, with spreadsheets, you cannot go to them Jews and not have a plan ready. They will laugh you out the building and tell you don't come back until you have one. But Stacey can put up rappers and all these celebrities putting up stuff on their social media telling them to go vote for him. And then when she goes on these debate stages, she can't articulate what she's going to do for black folks except fund the police. How does that help us? When you're killing Kemp for sending black men to jail already with the cops that they have on there, including the Georgia State Patrol that's running around Atlanta, who shouldn't even be in Atlanta or the metro area.
Well, I agree. No state police should be in a local area.
But I've been down here almost 2 years and never got pulled over. I've been pulled over maybe 3 times. Whereas when I was in New York, I would get pulled over like every other week. Stop and frisk every other week. That's one thing I'll give Kemp. He hasn't done stop and frisk. Thank God.
Well, stop and frisk was started by Giuliani.
Yeah. And Eric Adams, a Democrat, and a Republican. I'm Democrat. Eric Adams, who is mayor of New York now, who was a former cop, brought it right back and told people on the debate stage he was going to bring it back 7 times, and they still voted for him. And crime is out of control in New York.
I agree with you on that. It shouldn't. That was something that should not have been said. Period.
But that's WS for you. That's why I said before, I would rather my white supremacists be overt than covert.
I see it every day.
Trump did what he did for 4 years. My crowd will tell you, I barely bring up Trump. I'm not going to sit on revisionist history until somebody says that he didn't do nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, explain this. Explain how CNN said he was good for black folks. Explain how USA Today fact checked him and said he was right.
I still don't see it. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying you can go online and look this stuff up. They hate that man so much, but they love that man. Like when we were talking about Obama with the cages, I mean, it's there. They sat there and told him that. He can't lie out of that.
No, he can't. No, he can't.
Right.
And
I'm saying
right. He did do that.
I'm saying
but I'm saying
now you might get mad at me for saying this, but Trump did more than Obama did for black folks. We lost money under Obama. We lost our footing. We lost our political base under that man. because we went with symbolism instead of tangibles. We got burned and we learned, and this is never going to happen again. So in reality, we really should be thanking Obama, because Obama woke up a sleeping giant. He woke up black folks who don't, up until that point, did not worry about politics until it came to vote. Now we talk about politics every day. And you can tell how clueless the Democrats are, because they're sending him down here next Friday to try to stump for Stacey and Warnock. It's not going to work.
Well, I already knew that Stacey's not going to win. Kemp is going to win. I already knew that. Even when she said that she was going to, the first time she ran, she would never win in the South.
No, because she comes off like a Northerner. She comes off like an elitist Northerner. She doesn't talk like the Southern people. And that was Warnock's problem on Friday. He didn't relate to the people. He came off like a Northerner. He came off like them Southern boys who go up. He came off like a Southern boy who went up north to get educated and came back down here and act like he don't know how pork necks taste anymore.
Say that again, please.
I said the problem with Warnock, he did the same thing Stacey did tonight. He acts like a Southerner who went up north to get educated and then came back home and act like he don't like pork neck bones anymore.
Oh.
Like, instead of like it's he all about the champagne now. He forgot he don't get down with moonshine. And that's one thing you can attest as a Southerner. You can't switch up down here.
No, actually,
if the South is in your soul, you got to play that 24/7, 365. And that's why Walker is going to win, because as much as stupid as he was sounding and how at times he was incoherent, he kept that Southern soul on him. And them white boys will vote for him because he keeps up the status quo.
I know that's what's going to happen. I understand that. But I'm from the North too. I used to live in New York.
I'm sorry?
I said I used to live in New York, so I know exactly what you're saying.
I'm from New York, born and raised.
I used to live out in Queens.
I grew up in Queens, Hollis, Queens.
Oh, Jamaica.
Yes, sir. I was on 111th to 203rd. I was 8 blocks away from where LL Cool J's grandmama stayed.
Baisley and Bedell.
That's almost Rochdale Village. That's Rochdale Village.
Yeah, Rochdale Village, exactly.
Yes, sir.
That's where I'm from.
That's a Q85.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right across from the train station.
Yes, sir. LIRR. Locust Valley.
Yes,
Locust Valley.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna have to pack up somebody else, but I appreciate you talking to me. I appreciate this. This was good.
No problem. And I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. All right. You have a good evening. Stay safe out there.
You do the same thing.
Yes, sir.
All right. God bless you.
God bless you too.
And your followers.
Yes, sir. See, we can have a civil debate without people yelling at each other. Now, Harris Pointer, now you on the clock, sir or ma'am. You did not like my comment about acting like a Southerner and came back home and act like he don't like pork. Man, what are you saying? I said what I said. He came off like an elitist. Now, you can challenge me on that. The link is up top. Then you said, Southern soul, what the heck is that? Nothing to hold as a standard to attain. Really? I can tell you're from up north. Try saying that down here. Please come up. Talk to the people. We're here. Please. I'm going back on Twitter for a second. I want to see if anybody say anything about the Georgia debate. I'm going to find the comments where about to say, "Oh, Stacey got overtalked, and they weren't fair." Tesla Figueroa said something. Wow, we're gonna. Nothing. Wait a minute. Let me see. Let me put in Abrams. Doing this in real time, folks. We're doing this in real time. I had at the most, I had about 200 people in here. I know they all getting ready to go to bed, but I'm about to be off in a few minutes anyway. I just want to see what the general consensus of this this debate was. All right, Thurman, we're going to remove you so I have some more. Where are you, sir? Harris, come on. Let's see. Thank you, Nice Tea Girl, for putting that up. Reuters is playing it back. Abrams said, "I do not believe I am behind." Okay. Oh, the Hill has 5 takeaways from the Abrams Kemp debate. Let's see how they're going to spin this one. Let's switch the screens, folks, and then I'm going to get up out of here. Okay, Harris Point. Listen, yes, I am from the North. Been in Atlanta for 31 years, 1 year longer than I lived in Ohio. Ohio ain't nothing to brag about either. Okay, so I made a joke and you got offended. I don't understand this. What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. You got offended over a joke I made. That Raphael Warnock at that debate did not come off like he understood the plight of the people. But okay. So here we are, folks. 5 takeaways from the Georgia debate. Let's see how the Hill is going to spin this. Kemp leans on his record. Abrams returns to her 2018 playbook. Oh, snap. Abrams stunned many political observers in 2018 when she came within 55,000 votes of defeating Kemp in the race for Georgia governor with a campaign that focused on voting rights and the need for greater racial equity. She has largely tried to replicate that strategy this year, attacking Kemp and Republicans for implementing new voting laws and hammering the need to balance public safety with police reform. Okay. In one heated exchange, Abrams accused Kemp of ignoring the struggles of Black and brown people. Okay, that's why we don't rock with you, but all right. Who have struggled with police discrimination, saying that, quote, "While you may not have had that experience, too many people I know have. I also saw you throw your brother under the bus. We all heard it. We all saw it. You threw your criminal brother under the bus." I didn't even know she had a criminal brother. She also touted efforts by her and our allies to implement election reforms in the wake of the 2018 election to make voting more accessible. We didn't win every single claim, but we forced major changes to the election laws. So you're trying to take credit for SB 202 because you lost to an Obama judge. Also, Abrams is hoping to recreate the momentum that helped propel her to a near win 4 years ago, but she's facing a very difficult political environment this year than she did in 2018. The question is whether her message still has the same resonance. No. Crime has become a flashpoint. Abrams gives muddy answer to election question. Yes, it's not muddy. She said she was not, she didn't say she was going to accept if she lost. It's not muddy. She would always acknowledge the outcome of elections. So if you lose again, you're going to go to court and contest it. And libertarian candidate gets spotlight. At least they admitted that he was a distraction, but I think some people like that. All right. Say less. Harris Pointer. I appreciate what you're doing, bro. No harm done. No, that's fine. I'm just saying. Oh, okay. Well, why do you think I got offended as a northern transplant? I just found it hilarious. The culture shock I received when I got here was not pretty. Then I apologize because I thought the way you worded that you were trying to say that you didn't understand what I was saying. So I apologize for that. Are y'all fighting in the comments? What is this? Brittany Chavez, your feels are hurt. What is going on in the chat? We need tough immigrant need to buy more land, stop killing one. Oh, here we go. Brittany Chavez, if you're still in the chat, I'm gonna need you to come up and explain this comment. We need FBA need to buy more land and stop killing one another. I'm gonna need you to come up and explain this. Because if you are who I think you are, don't let me get started on La Raza. Brittany Chavez, if you're still in here, I'm going to need you to come up and explain this comment. Because if you are Hispanic, we can have a conversation about La Raza. And I want to see if you want to talk about some uncomfortable truths about La Raza. I won't even bring up what happened in the LA City Council. T-Money, you wrong for that comment. Well, not still thinking about running his ex-wife's foot over. You wrong for that. By the way, who heard the moderator say baby mama on Friday at that debate? FBA run Obama up out of Georgia. Well, let's see if they'll do it next Friday, but I still need you to come up and explain your comment about FBA to stop killing each other. I'm gonna need you to explain that comment. Just do it right said, did Abrams say something about not hearing a heartbeat, but it's the machine making a sound? Yes, she did. She said that was a way to control women's bodies because the ultrasound uses the electrical impulses in the woman's body to make a sound of a heartbeat. Harris Pointer said it was FBA, Foundational Black American. If you are on Twitter, look that up. Brittany Chavez, you and Angelic Elena, listen, y'all can ease that. We can air this out right now. Click that link up top. Click the link up top. I need that comment about FBA need to stop killing each other. I need you to explain that. Because I love how y'all say it's the freedmen killing each other, and y'all just dismiss the fact that there's Caribbeans and Africans over here killing people over here. I love how y'all just gloss past that. And I'm non-FBA. My parents are from Jamaica, and I'm admitting that. Y'all act like the Nigerians ain't over here killing each other. Y'all act like the Jamaicans and the Trinidadians and the Haitians ain't killing each other. They have whole Haitian gangs in Miami. Y'all just forgot about that, right? Y'all so fixated on the Bloods and Crips, y'all just forget about the Zoe Pounders. Y'all forget about the Trinitarios up in New York. Y'all just forgot about those, right? I don't even have to bring up the Latino gangs. I could just keep the black ones that come from outside. Would you like to go up to Minnesota and talk about the Somali gangs? Would you like to go to Houston and talk about the Nigerian gangs? I'm asking for a friend. All right. I give her one more minute. If she don't come up, I'm leaving. I need to shower. I need to wash that Stacey stink off. Just a friendly reminder for those who haven't voted yet in Georgia. There you go. And according to some fool up north, as a black man, I'm insecure if I don't support Stacey Abrams. Well, she confirmed a lot of insecure men tonight because she did not purport herself well on that stage. She did not sell herself well, and the Democrats well. And the funny thing was, again, yesterday she's talked about, oh, she was going to protect 2A. So you're going to protect 2A, ma'am, the right to bear arms and the right to form a militia when the government get out of control. But you just sat on that stage, ma'am, and accused the governor of allowing gun purchases in the state through gun shows and other means, which we know damn well a gun show vendor is not going to risk their livelihood when they're making 10 grand per show buying ghost guns, selling ghost guns. And if you need a gun, you can go, they have something called the FBI database. You're trying to turn Georgia into one of them liberal states where it's going to be damn near impossible to get a gun. But anyway, folks, I appreciate y'all coming in, spending time with me, watching the debate, having dialogue. Thank you to Thurman for coming through and having that conversation. And thank you to Black Alpha Network for checking in. I start my new job tomorrow. So I'm going to go shower, get the Stacey stink off, and get some rest. So again, if you're new here, please subscribe, share out the broadcast, like it, get the likes up. I get in the algorithm, more people come over. We got these conversations. And also, for the foreseeable future, the talks that are usually on Thursday will now be on Sunday. They will be on Sunday. They will be on Sunday at same time, 3:00. Because if I do it at 6, I go long, and then y'all go run to Jason Black. Can't have that. So we will have it at Sundays at 3:00. And I will preview Sunday show for you. We are going to go in depth on Kanye. I'm going to give the politics a rest for a week. We're going to go in on Kanye. I have some thoughts, and I want to open it up to the family. All right, y'all. Take care. Stay safe out there. And y'all know what to do when y'all see the best.